Welcome back to Zaz Vendetta TV. Anyway, let's just get into what I really want to talk about, and that's this whole we'll just say it's a theory, not even a theory. It's just something that people have been saying for the longest time, as far as blacks taking responsibility and accountability for not only the people that are in their community, but just speaking up, period. And that right there, I would say is a myth, to assume that people from certain communities haven't spoke up and haven't confronted their people in the past would be ludicrous to believe. You would have to be extremely naive to believe that has not been attempted multiple times. But due to the fact of inner cities being the way they are, and the fact that a lot of people, especially the youngsters nowadays, don't really want to take accountability for nothing. They don't want to accept responsibility for the things they do. There's always an excuse why they did what they did. And I know, as somebody that had been a YN, not even a YN, but being a youngster at one time and wanted to run the streets and do what I wanted to do and get into trouble and do all types of stuff that I felt like was expressing my angst, or steady making excuses why I did the things I did when I was younger. And I'm gonna tell you, in the scheme of things, it really did more of a detriment to me, and I'll tell you why. For a few reasons. One, it took pretty much the majority, I mean not even the majority, but it took a big space out of my life. I'm talking about from juvenile, as being a juvenile, to even as an adult, to the chunks and periods of time that I can no longer get back. And then you start realizing, in the moment, you're not really caring, regardless of if you're facing cases or doing all these other things. You're not really caring because you feel like you're just intangible. But then when you get a chance to sit down and really reflect on the things that you did in life, you're like, man, it's preventing you from getting the type of jobs that you really want, and jobs that you have to settle for are limited. And the way you're being treated in these particular jobs is just horrendous, but you still have to weather them, because without it, you're unable to take care of your family. So those are some of the things that you think back and you're like, man, like it really did a number on me. And not only that, some people have lost their parents while they were incarcerated. Some people are on the streets now and seeing that all the years that have passed, at one time when their mother had black hair and now it's gray, and all these other indications of their age, and the fact that they've aged like rapidly, like especially when people are dealing with their family members are incarcerated and there's real love there. It's a stress factor, and that stress brings out the worst in them. Health problems, a lot of things take place that you wish you could have been there for in order to prevent. But so those are some of the things a lot of people that choose to take part in certain activities in life regret the most. And this video is not necessarily about this. It's just a what if. What if people did actually continue to attempt to bring their communities out of destitute, and the fact that if they're able to confront them in a certain way. And I would tell you, regardless, and this is no shot at to the white community, but even if people were able to control that and bring it under, bring all these different elements that are negative to task, are under control, not even under control, but just get rid of, period, it still wouldn't change. There would still be hate. There would still be people that fear the black community and a lot of these minority communities. They would always find some reason to go against them. See, because it's said, like, if everybody was docile and no longer wanted to take part in the stupidity that is the streets and the things that take place in the streets, like they refrain from that in the argument and not being so aggressive when people are outright pushing them to respond because they feel like they can. The privilege is there, which I'll tell you in another video, that's false. Your superiority and privilege is only granted by those who need you to believe that you actually have this type of period, superiority over others, because it helps them navigate the narrative, and they're not even in the fray. They're just allowing you to believe what you believe because they know it's easier to control you that way. Just like the fact that a lot of people of a certain nationality weren't even considered a certain race at one of them time. They were one of those, like, it was how should I say, they weren't accepted until they needed to be accepted. Now, let's just say, even if you were able to bring the communities under test, as like a black people were able to consolidate their resources and everything in order to, create something a lot greater, there's still whites out there that would hate the fact that they're doing better. They wouldn't necessarily care that they're no longer doing crimes and participating in certain things, because it's just a simple fact that there's just a not only a mistrust, but there's just a constant judgment. Like I see it even in myself, and I don't really trip on it or pay attention to it, because I don't never want to feel like I'm the victim to somebody that I would never consider greater than me just because of their skin color. But they're looking to judge. A lot of people are looking to judge. They've already passed judgment on you before they even seen anything. Like, we could be in the same area, and it could be a white guy tatted up, then another black dude tatted up. Somehow, some way, the focus would be more on the black guy than it would be on the white. It just goes without saying. And the whole reason I made this video is just to give a hypothetical of what people would assume would transpire. No, and what I know would transpire. And and don't get me wrong, there's ways to go about getting this kind of stuff accomplished. It wouldn't necessarily bring everybody up under one umbrella as far as like the black community, but it would make people reconsider their transgressions in life, because there would be no backing. But then again, you would have to play it safe on that as well, because at the end of the day, you in order to consolidate your people, you need everybody involved. And not everybody, but you need a great number of people involved in order to make change. There's certain things that the streets can speak for as far as the streets and their people, and there's certain things that civilians can speak for other civilians, because it's a life thing. It's not only choices, but it's a way that you've lived your life forever. And the simple fact, the accolades that you received when you were either on the street or you just being a civilian, or going about your everyday life and really accomplishing different things. It takes those type of people to like really move things. Sorry about that, the light. And it's possible. It's definitely plausible. It just takes a greater collaboration in order to make that come about. And as far as like involving police and all that in these type of communities, it's not going to work. You need to work it from within. And I'll tell you, if people wanted to take a more hardline stance against it, this is what you do. For the people that are in power, listen. For the people that are in power, that are really the shakers and mover, that really got money, if you were to take that money and put it in the hands of people that are actually looking to create something and not looking to push everybody to the side and only further their cause, you could take certain communities and not in a way to where you control it outside of getting your money back. But if you was to allow people to put certain people in place that were able to make a real change in this community, as far as like, and the reason I say hardline is because these type of communities you just can't get in. I'm talking about, even if you wanted all blacks to be in one particular spot, regardless of whether at just them period, you would have to do that, invest and not invest to where you're controlling, but you eventually get your money back. And allow these people to create communities that don't allow crime, don't allow family members that are gang members. These are hard lines, and people would have to be on board with it. It's like if my mom was in one of these particular communities, me not being now being far removed from a lot of things would be different. But for the people that are still on the street and doing things, that are in and out of jail, they're not allowed in these communities, and they will never be allowed in these communities, depending on what they did and how long ago that it was done. And any little indication that it's going to go back to being the way it was with that particular individual or female or whatever, they're immediately ostracized and put up out of the community. It's not allowed. People will not be able to come there and do what they want because it will not be allowed. It will be for the betterment of whatever community it is, whether it's all black community, whether it's all white community, whether it's all Hispanic community, whether it's people want to live in separations. That's their prerogative. But say that would be an angle to come at it. Not that really anybody's going to take that hard of a line, which some do. You got communities that's nothing but Asians, but whites are still in their community, another thing. But if it was like a more hard line, and see, they don't really have too much of a gang problem out here. I mean, they have Asian gangs, but not as plentiful as a lot of other. But that would be one way to go about it, creating these communities that's all black, but anybody that's involved in anything or even found to be involved in anything, there's no quarter, there's no covenanting, there's no nothing. Push out and you can't come back, because if you do, then you're engaging the people that are willing to protect their community at all costs. And if you go that route, then yeah, the police will get involved, because this is a community of people that are like-minded and only wanting to go forward. They're not trying to be involved in all the bull that takes place on the street. This is possible. This is possible. It's like if you read the Bible and in Revelation, after everything is said and done, and after God's judgment is passed, and the people that survive, the people that are still, able to go to paradise, on earth is created, and anything outside of the city is basically like the Book of Eli type thing, where you're left to struggle and survive on the outskirts. That's what these communities will be like. Like if you're not willing to work and handle your business as whether a father, a dad, or somebody that's just trying to be the pillar of the community, then you are ostracized and you're pushed out and you're never allowed back in. Plain and simple. It's your choice as a human being to move forward in a positive way. And I think that's one way to do it. But then again, it would have to be checks and balances, because you create a weakness there if somebody was going to try to take advantage. If you pushed all the bad dudes out that maybe changed their mind, and you allow just your little small pockets of community, and say like the people that are racist and willing and may have the numbers at the time willing to push a hard line on them, then their communities could be destroyed, and they would have no backing, because you turned your back on your people and ostracized them and pushed them out of the communities because the type of person they are. Instead of trying to correct them, I don't want to deal with you, regardless of your ties to whatever family. You got to go. We don't want you here. You know what I'm saying? So it's a delicate balance. But that's one way people could go about it. But it would also come down to white communities, whether they're going to take that as servitude or making people submissive to whatever. They would have no control over the community. They would only be able to observe from a distance. And if they wanted to engage in certain whatever, then it would be like that. But that's one way to go about it. And that's pretty much all I really want to say on that. Like, I know my videos are kind of all over the place, but I'm trying to consolidate these thoughts. But, I have my kid and, waiting for my other kid to come from school. So it's kind of like, I'm constantly trying to focus. But I do got another video after this, something else I want to talk about, but I'm not going to make this video any longer than it already is. But basically, that's all it is. If people do decide to go certain routes, and there's a possibility that it could, and these basic theories and all this, and what would take place if you actually were able to get that done, and what it would look like when it's all said and done, that's something entirely different. I mean, it's left to the imagination. But with that being said, Zod, follow the channel. I will be back with more videos. And hopefully I'll have some people on the panel that actually are a lot more politically literate or whatever. And we can cover different topics. But you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm